right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Oneida Indian Nation Public Affairs Manager Dan Smith, and welcome to beautiful Turning Stone Resort Casino, host of Saturday's HBO Boxing After Dark in the Event Center. The Oneida Nation and Turning Stone are very pleased to be able to bring to Central New York an event of this high caliber for the people of Central New York and the entire region. And now, along with HBO, we're able to share what Central New York, Turning Stone, and the Oneida Nation have to offer to an international audience. We have today the boxers and Saturday's co-features, and with that, I turn it over now to Artie Pelullo of Banner Promotions. Artie.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be brief and just say a few words about the show when we get to all the different points, but basically you're here for the fighters. I'd just like to say on behalf of my buddy and partner, Gary Shaw, and I would like to thank everybody for coming, especially thank Turning Stone. Rob Fowler and Heidi Strong have been unbelievable. They've been very helpful to us. The casino people have been very nice. You know, it's a tough weekend. It's Labor Day, and they stepped up to the plate. It's going to be a great show. I hope, God willing, I understand they're doing well in the casino and they're doing well in the ticket sales. But we have a really good show, and I just want to say that HBO, first of all, the telecast starts at 9:45 with the co-feature for the WBC regional title between Sergiy and Gonzalez. But HBO has put a great show together. And HBO went out of their way to find, I'm turning my phone off since I heard that one. HBO went out of their way to make two very, very compelling fights. And everybody is from somewhere else. As you can see, there's promoters everywhere. And we've all been getting along rather well, which is pretty hard in our world. But we've all been getting along very well. We work together, and it's going to be a great show. The first thing I'd like to do is bring up my buddy and partner locally, Cohen is the reason why we're here. He has one of the young fighters on the international, Tony Luis, I believe his name is, who's supposedly a real talent to come. I would like Greg to say a few words because Greg and his staff did everything they could, working with Heidi, working with Rob Fowler and Josh to make it happen. And everybody knows it's hard to do an event like this. They're big time events, and it takes a lot of people being cooperative. So Greg, why don't you come up and say a few words?
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank Artie and Artie's partner, Gary Shaw, in this event. It's always great working with them, and I'm just happy that I'm a part of this event. I'd also like to thank the entire Turning Stone team, with a special thanks to Rob Fowler, Heidi Strong, and Ed Allman. Everyone's really just made us feel so welcome here, and the unbelievable hospitality does not go unnoticed. What a great night of boxing we have planned for Saturday night. It doesn't get much bigger or better than a world title fight on HBO. The main event features one of the most feared fighters in any weight class, WBA Middleweight Champion Gennaday Golovkin. And he's facing his toughest test so far in his career in Grzegorz Proksa. This fight, in my opinion, has Fight of the Year written all over it. As a fan, I can't wait for Saturday night to see these two guys in the ring. In the co-feature, there's also a terrific matchup and should prove to be a barn burner as well. With Sergiy, former world champion, versus Gonzalez, I mean, this should be nonstop action, with the winner undoubtedly securing himself a world title shot in the immediate future. We also have a tremendous undercard featuring several bright prospects and future contenders. I'm especially looking forward to seeing undefeated 14-0 junior welterweight Tony Lewis making his U.S. debut. Tony had a huge amateur background in Canada, and over the next 18 months, he should be in a position to fight for his first professional world title. We're so happy to be here at Turning Stone. This is a first-class venue, which is fitting for a first-class event like this. Thank you.
to bring Eric Botcher up, who's working with the undercard. I'd like for everybody to know what's going on with that, and then we'll get into the co-feature, the fighters, the promoters, and their managers. So, Eric, why don't you talk to the local media and the press and tell everybody about the undercard.
Thank you, Artie. I'll be brief as well. I've been involved in a couple of shows up here in the distant past, about 9 or 10 years ago, and this is by far the best event I've been involved with in this area. And Greg and I were involved in one of those events, and as Greg said, this is just a fantastic show from top to bottom, because not only do we have the televised fights, but also there's some local fighters up here that are get tremendous exposure. I'll mention them briefly. Bob Miller and Diana Rodriguez were tremendous help putting this undercard together with me, and if I'm going to thank them now. They're not here, but they'll be here Saturday. Bob's involved with 2 fighters. One of them is his son, Sean Miller, who's from Troy. He's going to be fighting Richard Starnino in a rematch. Richard's from Providence. They'll both be here tomorrow. And there's another local fighter, Brian Kluke. He's from Chase Mills, is also on the show in a 4-round fight. And Tony Graziano, who's been an institution in this area for literally 60 years, from back in the days of Carmen Basilio and Dickie DiVeronica. He's got Graziano's Italian restaurant in Canastota. He's working with the young fighter who's 9-0 from the Bahamas, who is now living and training here, named Ryan McKenzie. So that's a fight that you guys should be aware of as well. And Gary Shaw, who's not here, has 2 guys on the undercard. Jorge Masonet from Puerto Rico, who's 8-0 with 7 knockouts. He's going to be fighting Brian Abraham in a 6-round fight. And Artie, what time does the undercard start? I believe the first fight's at 8:30. The first non-televised fight's at 8:30, and the first TV fight's at 9:45. So bring it back to my boss, Artie, and thank you very much.
First, we'll talk about, I'm going to bring up the co-feature. The co-feature is, in my opinion, I'm probably biased because I'm his promoter, is the best junior middleweight in the world, Sergiy Dzinziruk, who's 36-1 with 24 knockouts. His opponent is one, if not the best young junior middleweight in the world, who's 15-0, Jonathan Gonzalez, with 13 knockouts. One guy's 36, he's still trying to stay here, stay in the game at the top level. Young guy, he's trying to get there. So this is a turning point for both of these kids. Sergey's not a kid, he's 36, Gonzalez is a young man in his 20s. This is what it's all about. This is 2 guys who are very good athletes. One who's never lost a fight at 154 pounds. His only loss was to Martinez, which was a great fight for Martinez, but not good for us. But in the meantime, Gonzalez is a real prospect, a real tough guy, good young fighter. My buddies Leon, Leon, Gary, and Javier all promote him. So it's a great fight because it's a very meaningful fight for both guys. One guy wants to be somewhere and the other guy wants to stay where he's at. So right now I'd like to bring Leon up to talk about his athlete, his fighter, and what they think what's going to happen. And then Leon, you introduce your fighter, Gonzalez.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very happy to be here. I don't think I've ever seen a dais. I think all my friends in the business are on this dais, or most of them anyway. Gary, Greg, Tom, Charlie. The only person that's not here is Gary. And Artie. I'm very honored to be here. Proud to represent my partners, Gary Shaw and Javier Bustillo from Universal Promotions, in promoting Jonathan Gonzalez. I've been lucky to work with Jonathan since 2008. At the end of the year, he turned pro after representing Puerto Rico in Beijing at the Olympic Games. And so far he's been perfect as a pro. 15 fights, he's had 13 knockouts, he's ranked in the organizations. He just recently turned 23. We really believe he's the next Puerto Rican star in our business. We're very excited about this opportunity. We thank Sergey, we thank Artie for giving us this opportunity. I'm going to bring him up to say a few words to you, along with his... By the way, I just walked in. I just got here from the airport. I haven't even checked into the hotel, but it looks like a beautiful place, and I'm very excited to be here for the first time. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank Turning Stone for hosting this event. But I'd like to bring up, and I'm going to bring up his cousin, who's also a professional fighter, Jorge Diaz, to translate. But ladies and gentlemen, the next great Puerto Rican superstar, hopefully the next 154-pound world champion, the record of 15-0 and 13 knockouts, Jonathan Monteguilla Gonzalez.
Sí, muy buenas tardes a todos, la prensa. Un saludo a mi promotor.
I want to say hi to everyone that's here, all the promoters and all the press.
Y muchas gracias a HBO por darme esta gran oportunidad de pelear en un evento como este ante un rival que tiene el doble de mis peleas.
That he wants to say thanks to HBO for this great opportunity and with a worthy opponent who has double the amount of fights that he has.
Y que el sábado no va a ser excepción. Esto va a ser un obstáculo más que yo voy a pasar sin problema.
That Saturday is just going to be another opportunity, another hurdle to get over, and that's all it's just going to be.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to bring up Sergey and Yana, who will translate for him. As I said, that Sergey, we think, is a real special talent, just like Jonathan Gonzalez. But this is a point of his career. It's a fight he has to win if he wants to stay at the elite level. And this is a fight that he wants to win in order to get to the elite level. So it's really good stuff. It's really good theater. It's going to be a very crowd-pleasing fight. It's going to be very TV-friendly. So Sergey, why don't you come on up with Jan and say a few words, whatever you'd like to say.
Добрый вечер всем. Мне очень приятно, действительно, что все здесь собрались, что мы вместе. И я рад приветствовать всех боксеров, любителей бокса, прессу. И надеюсь, что этот поединок будет красивым, достойным. Я приехал сюда действительно боксировать.
Good day to everyone. He wants to welcome everyone here and thank all the fans here, all the boxers, all the press, news conference people. And he thinks it's going to be a wonderful fight.
Я хочу поблагодарить всех HBO, конечно же, и моих промоутеров за то, что организовали мне эти поединки. Я, как сказал Арт, я здесь хочу остаться, хочу боксировать, надеюсь на хорошие, большие бои.
He wants to thank HBO, all his promoters. He is looking forward to this fight because, like Art said, he does want to continue and stay in the boxing world. And he will show what he can do this Saturday night.
Да, я надеюсь, что в субботу будут хорошие, красивые поединки.
He's sure that Saturday is going to be a wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you.
Thank you.
The main event is, I'd like to say a few words about it, and then I'd like to bring up Charles first. The main event is between two young guys who are trying to get on HBO and stay there. Both guys are not known to our world, but they're great fighters. Both men have the charisma and the talent and the style to fight with Chavez, to fight with Martinez. My fighter, when he gets back from injury, Pirog. This is the kind of fight that builds them. They're young. So it's not one guy who's trying to get there and an older man trying to stay there. These are two guys who are in the prime of their careers. This is where they're supposed to be. Proksa is the European champion. Gennaday is the WBA champion. You know, one guy's 23-0 with 20 knockouts. The other guy's 28-1 with, I believe, 21 knockouts. Revenged his only loss with a 7th round knockout. And the reason why he lost, I didn't see the tape, but I'm told by everybody he got cut early, and it was a very difficult fight after that point. The cuts were bad. But this is the kind of fight that will make both of these young men stars, because I don't believe that the loser is not going to be back on HBO. This is the kind of fight where HBO rewards talented fighters, and they put them back on their network, even if they lose, because this is the kind of fight that it's going to be a great fight. And I got to say this, this is very important. When my champion, Dmitry Pirog, was injured while training, he was the WBO Middleweight champion. He was supposed to fight Gennaday for unification. He got severely injured, hurting his back. He'd be out of commission until the first quarter. I called Kerry, and I said, what do you want me to do? He says, go make some fights. So a year ago, and this is important to the people in the business because you'll appreciate this, because my mother always taught me timing is everything. She would prefer her children to be more lucky than smart. So a year ago, I'm talking to Barry Hearn, who was from Matchroom, who'll be here on Saturday, about hold on, I apologize. Zagos. Well, I want to say it the right way. Gregza or Zagos? Grzegorz Proksa, about doing some business with them, because he's a very talented fighter. Has a style, not like Martinez, but him and Martinez have the same kind of style. They're crafty guys. And he said, Artie, we're not really that interested in coming to America. I said, okay. So I call him up after Dmitry gets hurt. And he calls me back. I said, this is the situation. There's an opportunity to fight Gennaday Golovkin, who is considered one of the premier middleweights in the world, as he is. And they both want to make a name. And what do you want to do? You want to take that opportunity because somebody got injured. He didn't call me back 20 minutes later. He says, we want to fight. He said, my fighter wants to fight. So that's good stuff. He just came off a fight. And he didn't blink an eyelid. They didn't even know what the money was. He says, we'll make the deal. We want to fight. When I called Tom Loeffler about Gennaday Golovkin, he says, bring it on. I mean, that's what it's about. These are very good athletes who are so confident in their own ability. Nobody blinked. Nobody said, what's the money? Nobody said, you know, what's the deal? They said, make the fight, we'll make the money. And that's exactly how it happened. It doesn't always happen that way. Guys say, well, how much is in the money? How much money is in the fight? And then they say, well, you know, I want the fight, but it's not enough. Well, they really don't want the fight, so they use the money to get out of the fight. These guys didn't use the money to get out of the fight. Actually, they were right on board. So that's why I think this is really something special. I don't know what's going to happen, but I got a feeling it's going to be electric. And the loser, whoever the loser may be, in my opinion, knowing Kenny Hirschman and Curry Davis and the people that run that network, they're going to reward them for a very, very entertaining fight. So first I'd like to bring up the challenger side, but this gentleman is not on the challenger side. He's with the British Boxing Board of Control. Charles knows me 20 years, tolerated me when I was a young guy, and every time I go to England, they treat me like I'm family. And he came over for the fight to support their fighter from the European Union, I believe that's what it is, right?
He's a British licensed boxer.
British licensed boxer. And I would like Charles to say a few words, and then we'll get into the co-feature fight. I mean, the main event fighters, guys. Thank you.
Well, it will be a few words, and like Leon said, it's good to be amongst old friends. Not all of them are all looking around, but it really is a pleasure to be at the Turning Stone Resort Casino. I've been treated very well, the hospitality is good. I'm looking forward to the big fight Saturday night. for the WBA Middleweight Championship between the champion, Gennaday Golovkin, and the challenger, based in the UK, Grzegorz Proksa, who's promoted by Barry Hearns from Matchroom. And as I said earlier, I'm here to represent the British Boxing Board of Control and our licensed boxer. He's had a very successful career so far, mostly based in the UK. And Saturday night is a great opportunity for Greg, or Grzegorz, I prefer Greg. And I'm sure he's going to make the best of it. It's all been said, so Saturday night, may the best man win. Good luck to both boxers, and now I'll let someone else speak. Thank you.
Now we're going to bring up Grzegorz Proksa, the European champion. I think his English is better than mine. And like I said a little earlier, these are really two very good fighters. So I'll bring up the European champion, Grzegorz Proksa.
Hello everyone. 15 years ago when I started to train box, it was the goal that I didn't even dream. But life showing the hard work always rewarded. So I've got a lot of respect for my opponent. I know he's top level boxer. I know that everybody afraid to box with him. That's why it's double honor for me to go to the ring with that kind of athlete. I know that I've got the skills to win and to be a world champion. I hope so. And I want to invite everyone to Saturday fight because I'm, so excited that you cannot even imagine. Thank you very much, and let's the days come fast.
As I mentioned about both of these kids, young men, they're great athletes. The champion, he's promoted by K2 Promotions, and Tom Loeffler represents that company in America. Abel Sanchez is his trainer, who I know for 20 years. We've been friends for a long time. Very good working with them, very nice people. Tommy and I have got to know each other better. We know each other as promoters, but this is actually the first time we ever worked with. Very first-class organization, the way they run themselves. It's the kind of thing that makes the shows go a lot easier because we're all contentious about our business and always watching everything what's going on. And I was talking to Kevin a few minutes earlier. We're all getting along rather well. It's good for the sport that we all get along rather well. I'd like to bring Tom Loeffler up now, who's a very good young promoter. He's doing a great job for Gennaday Golovkin. Had him all over New York, even at the Empire State Building. So they know how important this is. Like he does, they all know how important this is. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. So, Tom, why don't you come up and then you'll introduce your great champion and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Artie. It's really a pleasure to be here at the Turning Stone Casino, and it's really an honor to have Gennaday featured in the main event on HBO. When we first signed Gennaday, our commitment and promise to him was to help him fulfill his dream, and that was to defend his titles here in America and specifically on HBO. We had our meetings with HBO in February when we first brought Gennaday and his management team to the offices of HBO in New York, and this coming Saturday now will be the realization of that dream. As Leon mentioned, it's really unusual to have so many people involved in this promotion and it to go as smoothly and as friendly as it has. As Artie knows, usually it's very contentious between boxing promoters and, working out a deal. Originally, with the Pirog fight, that was, two undefeated champions fighting each other. When Artie had called with the news about the injury and then with the potential fight with Grzegorz, I'll tell you, the reaction that we got at our office at K2 was tremendous as far as all the media, the Polish media and Polish boxing fans. It seems that Grzegorz is really popular as the European champion. We have to give him a lot of credit for not hesitating at all to accept the fight. As Artie said, I think within 2 days we had the deal pretty much worked out. And that was just, finalizing the deal points. I want to also acknowledge a close friend, Greg Cohen, for helping, put this whole event together here at the Turning Stone. And, it'll be a tremendous fight between two great middleweight fighters. Both guys are big punchers. I know Gennaday and his trainer, Abel, both have a lot of respect for Grzegorz and his style. He's a big puncher. He's very unconventional as a southpaw. But they've been working really hard, and everything that we've been telling the people when we had our media tour in New York, and Gennaday was at the Yankees game, he was at the Empire State Building. He's probably had the most media here for this fight for any boxer who's never fought in America or on American television. But Gennaday knows everything that we're saying about him and other people are saying about him, he has to prove on Saturday night. So I think it'll be a really exciting fight, and with a lot of international flavor. For a show like this on HBO, it's going live to a lot of different countries over in Europe and over in the Russian-speaking part. And with that, I'd like to introduce the trainer of Gennaday to say a few words, Abel Sanchez.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for coming out. We have a lot of respect for Proksa. We anticipate a very difficult fight. We'd like to thank HBO, the Turning Stone, and all the promoters involved. We'll see you Saturday night. Thank you.
Thank you, Abel. Abel has a tremendous training facility up in Big Bear, California, the Summit, and Gennaday's actually been up there for the last 3 months. He's working on his English. English is actually his fourth language, so you have to bear with him as he speaks, but he's definitely excited about this opportunity. With that, I'd like to introduce the undefeated WBA IBO Middleweight Champion of the World, Gennaday Golovkin.
Good morning, people. Good morning, guys. I'm happy to be here in Turning Stone Casino and in my fighting in HBO. I have a lot of for Proksa, for my opponent. He's a good boxer. He's very strong, very strong. He's European champ, I think it's a great fight. Thank you so much. I'm happy, this is my dream, boxing in fight to America. I'm happy now. I wait September 1st, Saturday. Thank you so much.
So anyway, the fighters will be available for one-on-ones. I just want to make sure everybody knows what's happening. The doors open at 7. The first bout on the undercard will be at 8. The international will start at 8:30. And HBO's telecast will start with the co-feature at 9:45. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to ask anybody if they have any questions, and anything that anybody would like to ask to anybody on the dais. Well, yeah, we're going to do all that. But would anybody like to ask any questions now? But they will be available for one-on-ones. Anybody? Okay, well now we're going to get the fighters together for some shots. Anything you guys want to say? Nothing? I guess they've said it all. Right now we're going to get the fighters ready for some pictures of themselves. So why don't we start with the co-feature? Sergiy? Yeah, Sergiy Gonzalez. We're over here. Guys with the TV cameras, okay? Syracuse, okay? Okay? Now the main event. Gennaday, get over here. Proksa, get over here. Proksa. First two guys. Okay? Face this way. Guys back, okay, we're back there? All right? And then let's go over there. You wanna- right there. Yeah. Let's get it. Get behind me. You're the biggest guy here. You can fight anywhere. Don't worry about it. Okay, TV guys, okay? The boys. This is a rarity, we're all getting along, guys. Okay?
Rob.